glad you're with me today. Today is the proverbial custom of Easter Sunday. So I wanted to come to you and ask you this question because I was posed with this today. That the foundation of what we learned, years ago, right? And we're talking about Easter here. We're talking about the thought of Easter, whether you celebrate it in the custom of Easter bunny and Easter eggs, or you celebrate it on the custom of Jesus rising from the dead, from the stories, or which Christians call the Bible. Is it your foundation? And how do you build on the foundation that now you come to learn is not the truth? I was posed with this question from one of my friends, and they said that, you can't forget your foundation. And I said to them, foundationally, I really didn't think that a person could rise from the dead unless there was CPR implemented, or if they did, they had some type of overriding condition. But to literally disappear and come back in the spirit and all of that, I just question that. I've been questioning the transference or the transition of Christ, of Jesus Christ, for years. Even when I was in church, I didn't think it was a thing. I think we leaned on Jesus too much when God said not to have any other gods before him, and we make Jesus our God, even though he might be part of us, part of God, and we're part of God, and but we can't be called gods, and it's all this ambiguousness, right? So I said to her, I never believed in Easter. What I did is I joined in the celebration of being with the family, but when my children were young, of course, I took part of the customary Easter. And I started with when my children were 12. I wanted them to have their own frame of mind, their own thought, because decision-wise, especially with religion, that's a choice. It's not something that's imposed on you, right? And so I wanted to give my children a choice, a choice on what they believed and be able to think for themselves. And so I never believed in the custom of the Christianity version of Easter. Hi, Easy E Play 3215. Thanks for joining me. And I never believed in that. And so my friend said to me this morning, well, she said to me, these are the words she said, Happy Resurrection Day. And I was like, I don't know anything about being happy about that. That's nothing to kind of, I'm so happy. Well, Jesus died for your sins. I said, how do I know that? One person can't take generations of sin away. Only you can do that for yourself. You can literally change the way your generation thinks and talks as you change the way you do patterns and change your life. You can do all of that, right? And Jesus just doesn't do that. He's dead and gone, and he just doesn't do that continually throughout generations. So I have never believed that, even when I was in church. Hi, Learning the World, and thank you stopping by. I never believed it when I was in church, and it always brought about questions that no one could answer for me. So right now, as an older adult, I'm learning that things that I've taken on or believed in the past are really, really were not things that I needed to keep passing down generationally. It served me no purpose. What purpose does it serve me to every year believe that this is the time of year that I'm supposed to be, believing that Christ died for our sins? So do I pack up on all the sins and be forgiven on this one day? What's the purpose of believing that? So no one can give me a significant answer. So I said, well, then I think that what I'm doing with my life has nothing to do foundationally. Because listen, if your foundation is made up of lies, let's just say your parents said to you that they were your parents and they stole you from somebody else, and then it comes to find out they're not your parents are over here in another state somewhere, she stole you from them. Is that something you should be living on? Truth? Probably not. If you were to get sick, you could not literally, go to your birth parent and say, hey, I'm sick and I need a bone marrow transplant. They may not even be, compatible to you, but you have to lean on your own parents, right? So some things foundationally were not part of the truth. It wasn't truth. So you can't keep living with that and using it. Just the concept of like this day, right? In Christianity, people will, and I've lived through it, people will take, what is it called, a sacrament, where they take the cracker and the red wine, and it's symbolic of Christ's body. And I was like, but why do you do that? What's the purpose of that? What does that bring about right now? What would that do? So all the things it shows me and shows children, it shows people, is that we're cannibals, that we can pretend to eat somebody's body and eat and drink their blood. So is that foundation good for us to know, to keep, to continue? Probably not. Are we teaching something and giving a solution? Are we just continue the practice of empty promises? That's what I think. I think it's emptiness, and it continues the emptiness. It's like having an artery that was supposed to pump blood and it doesn't pump it anymore. So that's what it's like. So I am going to say to you, for you all who are, kind of like thinking about all of this, it's not for everybody. What I'm saying today is not for everybody. It's for people who are evolving in their thinking, evolving in their thoughts, changing the way that they're living, creating their own lives, getting rid of things that no longer serve them. To think about this as I get ready to go out and hang out with my family, have dinner. Think about this. If Easter is a thing, what's the purpose? The customary one with the Easter bunny and the rat and the chocolate and the finding the eggs is to bring unity, right? It's to bring unity. That's really what it's about. It's about to bring unity, bring family together, laugh and talk and have fun, right? And then there's the proverbial one at church. You sit at church, you listen to the same message. He was risen again. And all these things that don't make sense, that you have questions about throughout the time to understand. It takes a great understanding, a great undertaking about it, and you're left heavier than you were when you came. Think about that as you are taking on or continuing or thinking about continuing such a undertaking of disassembling a complete lie, a foundational that has so much questions to be answered. And then the certainty of, if the Bible is what it's supposed to be doing, if its stories are supposed to help us, what is this custom? What is this foundational piece doing for our lives right now? What does it help us do? Think about it. What does Easter help us do? What is it? How do we apply that to our lives? By eating somebody's body, drinking their blood, believing that they rose from does that mean that I'm going to rise from the dead? So I have to believe that if I die, I'm going to live again in another body, another form. What does it bring about? I have to die for something. I have to, we don't know the full stories of the Bible, and I can truly say that every day, upon what I already know and what I've studied about it, we've been told so much propaganda that we can't even disseminate it. We can't even begin to disseminate the information. So I'm going to tell you that if you have to And I just told my granddaughter that if you have to question what you're being taught or told, then it doesn't make sense. My grandson used to always say something, he would ask me something and I'd tell him, and he said, but that doesn't make any sense. If you have to say that doesn't make any sense, and the person can't tell you chronologically how this works in your life and supposed to be applied to your life and supposed to fulfill your life and make you evolve, make you become a better person, a bigger person, a more enlightened person, if that piece of information does not do that for you, it's number one, it's not for you. Number two, it's not true. It's not true. And we believe these customary things and these pieces. We believe all this stuff. Because if we did believe it, what does eggs have to do with the Easter Bunny? Easter bunnies don't lay eggs. Right? If we believe the whole concept, we believe the entire concept. We just don't. So it's really a custom. It's not a holiday. It's a holiday, not a holiday. It's not something that you take on. Even Christianity is not something you take on. You shouldn't, because if you really learned about Christianity, really know the origin of it, no one would be doing it. Only those who want to be subdued or the subduer would want to be a Christian. But I digress. It's a whole different subject. But I'm talking about foundation. If something in your foundation has no answers, if something in your foundation doesn't seem right, you don't have to keep carrying it. You don't have to keep carrying it forward. You can stop it, break that pattern, right? Customarily, break it, Not caring about your family, disengaging, maybe leaving at an early age. Everybody in your family before you left their home lives at 16, so you continue the I'm going to study, I'm going to get out and do just like my family did. Maybe you're going to do that. But what does that solve? What is it? Is it doing you any better? What is it doing for you? And that's the key, is like all these customs and patterns that we kind of bring forward into life. What is it doing for you right now? How are you applying it to your life right now? Is it making it better or is it making it worse? For your life. I'm not talking about like your family's life, because guess what? They're going to do what they want to do. Your siblings going to do the same thing. And guess what? You're sitting there holding the bag. You got a whole backpack full of things. Well, customarily, this is what they gave us, But think about it. Think about the foundational things that you're still carrying around. You think they should be held true, and they serve you nothing. They don't serve you at all. So I'm telling you to think about it. As I get dressed, think about it. Talk to you later. Bye for now.